Dean Curry here, Fantasy Football RSVP. So let's get right to it. And we waited to the last day, Saturday, so we could get all the injury reports for Week 16 waiver wire. I'm Dean Curry, president founder, Fantasy Football RSVP. So let's get right to it with the waiver wire. All the injury reports are out. We're going to do running backs, wide receivers very quickly, tight ends. One mention I'll say on quarterbacks, I really do like Ryan Fitzpatrick this week. A lot of people are asking me questions like Tannehill or Fitzpatrick. Tannehill would be the pick for me over Fitzpatrick, but not this week. I really think the Saints are rolling, and proof of the pudding last week, and I think they're starting to roll, and I sense, they're saying this is going to be a really close game. I'm not, really seeing that. It could be. Tennessee's played well all year long. They have a good running attack. But, the Saints defense is extremely underrated, and it looks like things were really, setting up for them nicely last week. And I really think they're going to roll. So as far as those two concerned, one quarterback, I'd probably pick Fitzpatrick this week. Easier matchup against the Skins. Skins are a lot better than people think. But ball control offense seem to be running the ball, but I like that matchup a lot better. As far as running backs are concerned, Sony Michel, I've been saying the same thing about him all year. Too hard to predict what's going to go on between Michel, White, and so forth. Coleman, same thing. He's not really being showcased. Drake is. Carlos Hyde's been consistent all year long. I would definitely consider playing if you don't have any options. I do like Adrian Peterson this week. I think it's a great matchup for Peterson. And, a lot of people were talking about Geis, before he came back from injury. And if you recall my videos 5-6 weeks ago, I was telling everyone, don't get too hot on Geis. They're not going to play him a lot towards the end of the season because why risk it? That they're not going to make the playoffs, the Redskins, and why risk playing this guy when he could have a full year to recuperate and they have an expendable? I hate using all day Adrian Peterson as expendable, but he's probably most definitely gone after this year. May still play another year, but why risk Geis? And everyone was loading up on Geis all year. And it actually came to fruition exactly what I said. They're not using Geis a whole lot. In fact, they're using Peterson a lot more, and actually even the passing game. And it's sort of like a farewell bid and a thank you to Peterson. They're going to showcase him as much as they can so he can get a job, next year. And that's just a way of an organization saying thank you, for being there, so on and so forth. So I like Peterson. If he's available. Howard, no. Murray, no. McCoy, McCoy, it's too hard to judge. Breeder, probably not. They're kind of going to Mostert now. Is Mostert a good play? It's hard to predict in San Francisco. It's hard to each week decide who you're going to play when they're quick to switch guys in and out. Mostert is the lead back now. Expected a bigger week last week. Didn't really get it. Maybe he'll pop this week. Who knows? But it's somewhat of a risk, in San Francisco. Same with, places like Philadelphia, which brings up Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is a great player, but, the week you play him is the week he doesn't do well, and they kind of go back and forth. Looks like they're kind of showcasing him now, though, so I feel a little better about playing him with caution more than, other weeks. And last week he came off a big week, but it could be fool's gold. You got to be really careful of that. As far as other things concerned, waiver wire is pretty thin at this point. I like Mike Boone. It doesn't look like Madison's going to play this week. He's trending down. So is Cook. They're both saying they're going to rest Cook for a couple of weeks. Reports coming out. They're also saying, Madison is trending down for Monday Night Football. Keep an eye on it. Mike Boone is a player. He had a lot of receptions also in college. A lot of people may not know that. You got to follow these guys' college careers. Caught a lot of receptions, averaged almost 5.5, over 5 yards per carry. In college, and was a very versatile back, which fits that offense. So if I have him on my bench and I'm trying to decide between him and do I play him over maybe even a powerful name. I wouldn't say quite like Kevin Drake, but maybe a grade below that. I would definitely over like an Adrian Peterson or a Carlos Hyde. I think Boone's going to actually have a Boone week. I think he's a Boone week. I think he's going to, Boone's going to do really well. So they're going to run the ball. That's what they do in Vikings land. So, I kind of like that. Of course, watch the the injury reports, so on and so forth. Freeman's been somewhat steady all year. Duke Johnson, Williams, Jamal Williams. I said to a lot of people, probably tail off towards the end of the year. They're going to showcase Aaron Jones, sort of what they do. It's not Green Bay. I mean, I'm not, pulling rabbits out of the hat here. It's just towards the end of the year, a lot of people ask me, questions like, do I play Robert Woods? Yeah, you play him, Yeah, he's going against the 49ers, so what? They got to throw to someone. Looks like he's still injured. Higbee's been picking it up. But the Rams need this game. They're going to air it out. They need this game. They need it a whole lot more than 49ers. The 49ers need it too, but the Rams really need this game. And they're going to throw. I'm not timid in playing Woods this week. I'm really not, because he's going to get 2 or 3 carries too, and he's going to get the targets. And in one big play, 40, 50 yards, and boom, you're right there. And he's been trending up for weeks now, and weeks. He had somewhat of a bad week last week, but it wasn't his fault. It's because Goff, hit his thumb on the guy's, helmet early in the game and had it wrapped all game long. Couldn't throw the ball, So that's something to keep an eye on. I mean, if there's other reliable starters you have over Woods, but, I think, a week later, Goff was kind of trending up. So was Woods. They both would have had a big week last week. Goff, it was unfortunate. He hit his thumb. He wasn't the same after that in that game. So something to keep an eye on. Samuels, no. Barber, no. Freeman, we said. Scarborough, no. The backup for no. Jacobs probably going to play. Snell. Yeah, it's getting a little thin here. Let's go to wide receivers. Hold on. We'll go to wide receivers in a second. So, you just got to be a little careful of, play your good players at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? Fantasy football, they tend to do it, play the big name players towards the end of the year a lot more. And they step up. They want them to round into shape, for the playoffs. Will Fuller, I think he's playing injured. I'm not too big on it. He's capable of a big week any week. It's, boom or bust for him. Mike Williams, same thing. Curtis Samuel, nah. Sterling Shepard, if he's available, might be a good play. He's been kind of trending up. As well as Jamison Crowder. Again, I kind of like. I like Crowder, but he could have a big week, but it's kind of hard to tell. I'm not so big on him. Tyrell Williams, no. We have D.D. Westbrook. I like Darius Slayton. I think he's been kind of trending up all year. I like Robbie Anderson more than Crowder. I still do, but he's a little banged up. Now, that happens a lot at the end of the year. Sanu, as I mentioned, would tail off. It's just the way they do things. A lot of people were asking me about Sanu. Is he going to be a great play all year? He had one good week, and I said, don't be surprised if he fizzles out. It's just, it's easy to tell these things. I can make these predictions in my sleep. Randall Cobb, no. Pascal, Hilton, again, you're sort of guessing here. Anthony Miller, I've been talking about him for weeks. If he's available, I would play him. I wouldn't have said it 6-7 weeks ago, but he's being showcased. Again, you have to follow trends in fantasy football. Chicago's offense is trending. Quarterback is trending. Miller's trending, meaning that they're trending up. And you got to ride these waves. And when people are trending down, you can't be afraid to sit them. I wouldn't sit a star player at the end of the year because they're going to showcase them. They want them to be in good rounded shape for the playoffs. So they want to get them going for the playoffs, sort of get their identity down. That's why you play them. But, if someone's really trending down, the offense as a whole is trending down, don't be afraid to and they're going up against a decent defense, not a good matchup. Don't be afraid to sit your guys. You know what I'm saying? So something to be considered. Antonio Brown, Kenny Stills, Amendola. We're getting a little light here on. And then we'll just kind of go to tight ends here very quickly, and we'll get you situated for Week 16 of fantasy football. Higbee, obviously, is someone you're going to play. They're kind of showcasing him now. Doyle, Rudolph. Rudolph fizzed out, as I told everyone he would. Witten's been somewhat solid all year, but not really getting you a lot of points, but he's been somewhat consistent, in a year of tight ends where tight ends are thin. Sometimes if you had Witten all year, you probably would have got decent points out of him all year. You wouldn't put up 3s or 2s or 4s. He's almost always getting close to double digits, close to 10, and he does it almost every week. So, sometimes you got to think that way. Higbee. Goddard has been good Goddard, if you played Goddard every single week, you would have got anywhere from 8 to 12 points. Almost never below that, And you got to think that way. Noah Fant's a great play, but again, that I like Gesicki. I've been talking about him for weeks. I think, again, teams like the Dolphins are trying to establish an identity, trying to establish a culture. At the end of the year, it's not so much about winning games. It's about establishing a culture, establishing an identity. They want to get Gesicki. If you watched his targets of 8, 7, 6, 6, 6, 7, they're trying to get him involved, and they want to get that identity down before the season ends. And that's why you play someone like that, because it's obvious what they're trending, what they're trying to do. We think a lot outside the box. As far as that's concerned, kind of throwing darts at a board at this point. But I want to wish everyone a great week. We're still doing fantasy football next week, still making predictions throughout the playoffs up to the Super Bowl. There's a lot of different tournaments going on. There's free tournaments that you could join. I'll list them, where you can win like cash prizes, like, whether it's ESPN, NFL.com. They switch it every year, so I have to double check that. And there's little, fantasy football tournaments that you can join. On some of these for free, and you could win it like a cash prize, and you basically play playoff teams, and they're free, and I'll make sure I list them and do a little video about that in podcast. Hopefully someone could win, some cash prizes. Not from me, it's from, big companies like NFL.com, ESPN.com. I'll have to look and see which ones are running this year, because sometimes they change each year. I want to wish everyone the best, and don't forget, we're covering the XFL, okay, for fantasy football, and we're going to, hopefully the league works. We really need an extra league for a few months up until May, until the draft happens. It's a perfect fit. I'm hoping it does well. I've been contacting the company itself, talking about I'm going to be covering them, so on and so forth, waiting to hear back. I don't know how involved, I'll be directly with them, but indirectly I'll be covering them, blogging, podcasting, running leagues, doing what I do. And if anything else develops, I'll be sure to let you know. I want to wish everyone the best this week. Week 16, fantasy football. I'm Dean Curry. Paid subscriber, subscribe to the channel. You could be a paid subscriber to a patron, support the channel. What we do here, it's $7.77 a month. I always talk about it, appreciate it. You get one-on-one advice, whole bunch of great things, secret chats, so on and so forth, inside information. From basically opinions and stuff like that. You get to speak to other people. It's really great. So I want to wish everyone the best. Have a great fantasy football Saturday, Week 16 fantasy football. I'm Dean Curry. So have yourself a wonderful